How's it going, everyone? Thanks for stopping by the channel today. My name is Daryl, and of course, like always, we're in the shop. Now, you all know that a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3-4 weeks, a month ago, I got hit by my second lightning strike on the tower, and I lost a couple of things. I lost my power supply. Well, more than a couple. I lost my power supply. I lost my TNC for my APRS DigiPeter iGate. And what else did I lose? I lost my Raspberry Pi. That all went to that. And maybe my Alinco radio. I don't know for sure yet. I won't know until I get my TNC running again. So anyway, on my bench today is my NinoTNC. And we're going to have a look at that and see if we can find out why it won't work. So what did the lightning blow up? Well, we'll find out. So let me turn the camera around and I'll show you what's going on. All right, on the bench here is my NinoTNC, and I've had it for a little while now. We did a video on me putting this little kit together, and I haven't had any issues with it until this. So what the problem is today is we have no power to the board. So there's no indication of any power getting into any parts of this board. These LEDs are here, and they tell you the TX and receive lights. They're all that goes on right here. And this little thing right here is a little test button, and you can see that it says test RX. So when I push this button here, it should light up. The light should go this way and then back. And right now it's not doing it. So if I take my USB cable here, and, let's see if I got it the right way. Yes, here. If I plug that in, give it some power, you see that I have nothing going on here. If I push the button, I get no reaction whatsoever. So somewhere we're losing power. So where could that be? Well, once this brings in, what happens is in this circuit is to distribute the power is 5 volts. It takes 5 volts off the USB cable here into the V bus, brings it down, and it comes into this voltage regulator. And once it goes to the voltage regulator, it brings in 5 volts, and then it comes out on this pin 3, and it should come out about 3 volts, 3.3 volts, something like that. So let's look at the schematic, and we'll look at that on the schematic. Alright, we're in front of the schematic here, and we're looking for our V bus, which is right here. So our USB cable plugs in to the V bus. And let's look at the pins on the V bus. We have pin 4 is ground. Pin 2 and 3 are data high and low. And then pin 1 is our 5 volts. So we plug in our cable. 5 volts is on this pin here. And it comes up to a little arrow here and says plus 5 volts. Well, what does that mean? Where does that go? What happens after this? Well, we're looking for another instance of 5 volts. So if we come up and look around our whole schematic here, right here we see our voltage regulator and we see our 5 volts. So you just kind of jump over to this. Sometimes it's, I don't know why they do it like this, but sometimes you got to kind of look on the board and find out where things go. So we come out here to our little arrow here at 5 volts. We find our arrow with 5 volts here. We come down to pin 2 with our 5 volts. Pin 1 is ground. And pin 3 is where our 3.3 volts comes out and then out into the rest of the circuit. All right, so if we go back to our NinoTNC and we plug in our 5 volts like I just did, we should be able to see 5 volts at pin 2 and then 3 volts at pin 3. If we see pin 3 has, if we see that pin 3 has 3.3 or 3 volts, then we know our voltage regulator is working. If it's not there, then this might be our problem. So let's move back up to the bench here and we'll take a look and see if we have our 5 volts at that pin. All right, on our bench here and under the microscope we have our NinoTNC. I'm going to flip it over here and we'll just kind of look at the board and make sure there's no damage on the board. And I don't really see anything. No scorching, no arcing. Nothing looks really bad. We'll flip it over and kind of look and see at each of the components and make sure there's nothing blown up, nothing cracked. We'll just kind of slowly go around the board and look and see what we got here. All right. So we have nothing. So we're going to stop right here at our NinoTNC. We're going to stop right here at the voltage regulator. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put power to it. So I'll slide in my USB, give it some power, and I'll put right here is a ground lug, so I'll put our negative probe on the ground, and then we'll sneak back here and see if I can get that pin here with 5 volts, and you can see that we do have 5 volts on that pin. And now we're going to come around here and sneak around the front here, and this is where we should have our 3.3 volts, and you can see I got nothing. So that kind of tells us here that we have our issue. We at least have one problem right here. Our voltage regulator is not working, so we'll just test it one more time. Sneak back here and get the 5 volts coming in on the V bus, and then we'll come around to this pin and we have nothing. All right, so let's remove this voltage regulator, and then we'll check it and see if it's good or bad. Well, I have the NinoTNC here on my bench, and we're going to remove this transistor. So I'm going to put a little bit of flux on the board here, and we'll put a little bit of clean solder on there. Not a whole lot, much. See if I can clean it up where I can see what I'm doing. All right. We'll see if we can get this baby off. Okay, do this. It didn't quite come off with a gun, so it's really small pads there. Really small. Let's see if we can heat this all up and pull it off. Oh, it fell off. Okay, good. All right, so let's clean these pads up. Clean out the holes. It's okay. We'll work on that when we're done. All right, let me see if I can find my tester here. Hopefully it has a battery in it. It does. Okay. Let's see if we can get this in here. Then we will test it. Hopefully you can see it there. There you go. No known, unknown, or damaged. Okay, so I guess we know that's for sure bad. And I could test it manually on the meter and test it, but I don't think I'm going to get any different results. So let's replace this, and then I'll come back, and then, well, actually, we'll just replace it. So let me go find one, and then I'll replace this. Okay, I have my new component here to go in. a new regulator. And I will bend the, see if I can get these legs bent. Those holes are small. Okay. Put a little flux in here. All right. I want it to stay where I put it. All right, we'll kind of look at it through the magnifying glass here, or magnifying glass, the screen here. All right. Where in the world did Daryl put his little nippers? Here they are. I'll have a look at it again just to make sure it's the way I like it. I'll just give them a little touch up. Now I got the pins off. There. All right, let me clean this board up a little bit and then I'll come back. All right, we're back again. And let's plug our cable in. It's a little twisty of a cable, so turn my power on. Oh my goodness. Look down here. Now I push this test. Oh. Okay. I take the power away. It should go all the way across and back. So I hope you guys can see. Let me turn this around where you can see it. I'll plug this thing in. Hopefully I'm in the right spot there. There we go. Yeah. All right. Looking good. Yep. TX. Okay. So yeah. So we got this thing working again. As much as I know, I mean, it's getting power. It's definitely seems like it's operating right. Now, things that could go wrong is this chip here is basically taking the high and lows, and it is a chip that is used to process those high-low signals. It is let's see what that is. It's a MCP2221A. All right, so in this chip over here, if you can see it, if this one goes, if this one's bad, this one they don't use this in the NinoTNC. There's a new version of this board that eliminates this one because they don't make this one anymore. It's hard to get. So hopefully I can come up with some of these as spares, just in case this thing takes another hit. But let's connect this thing up to the computer, and we will see if we can get ourselves back on the air again. All right, we're in front of the computer here, and I got the NinoTNC hooked back up to the Raspberry Pi, and the NinoTNC hooked up to the Solinco radio, and it's receiving signals. And I'll give you a little beacon here. There you go. I did that on the D75, and then manually from here. So yeah, and I'm showing up on the map right there, so everything seems to be working. But I still am leery about this. The PIC. I think I'm going to try to buy a new one. Maybe more. I'll buy a couple of those, and then I'll have them around and I'll just replace this one out of there. So yeah, I'm kind of leery about that. We'll see how well it holds up. But I did replace these two ICs here, and I was a little concerned about those. So I replaced them, and now everything seems to be operating okay. But I think I'm going to look at replacing the PIC on it. So if I do that, if I buy one that's programmed already, then I'll just slamp it in there and go on my way. But if I just buy them and then program them myself, I'll make a video on that. Well, there you have it. We got the NinoTNC running again. Hopefully it won't cause me any issue, but you know, when something gets hit by lightning, there might be troubles that arise afterwards, even though you think you got something fixed. I'm skeptical about the radio, and I'm skeptical about the TNC. So we'll see what happens down the line. But for now, it's powered up and working, and we'll see how long it lasts until I get hit again, maybe. Who knows? But anyway, thanks for being here today and putting up with me. And I look forward to seeing you guys back again. Your comments are great. And until next time, have a good one.